KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning, live from Ed's 50s Cafe. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up.
Focus has been on listening, learning, understanding what the players want to accomplish in their community and the impact they want to have, and supporting them. And our clubs have done that at historic levels. And we went over that over the last couple of days. And I'm proud of what our clubs are doing. I'm proud of what our players are doing. We're all working together to try to address those issues. And from my standpoint, that always helps make relationships more productive when there's respect and dialogue and understanding and an agreement to work together to try to make things better.
And there we have it. He's going to try and make things better. Joining us now is Matt Taylor talking about, well, the good sensor, the creepy line. We had a young lady recommend this about how Google is taking over our lives, and we don't even know it. Matt directed the film. Matt, good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
So your film comes highly recommended here on KIDO Talk Radio. Let's talk a little bit about the influence social media, or particularly Google, has on it. Is it a good thing?
I would say it is not a good thing. Look, Google and by extension also Facebook have collected all of our information. We opted in. We get these kind of awesome services. But the cost of what those free products were doesn't add up for us in the future, not for our daily lives, and definitely not in our free society.
Well, how powerful is Google?
I would say that Google may be one of the most powerful forces we've ever seen. I mean, they are in communication, transportation, government, education. They have reached into every aspect of our lives.
How so?
Well, what they've done is, first of all, they've indexed part of the Internet that we all look at. So every bit of information that you search for that comes through their services, which is almost all information, is provided by Google, which means they can pick and choose what you see and what you don't see. They've mapped large parts of the earth. We use Google Maps. We use Google Email. We have massive amounts of data that sits on Google servers. Part of the Pentagon sits on Google servers. Apple Mail sits on Google servers. So, their Google Analytics is almost on every web page. So even if you don't touch a Google product, you're still touching a Google product. Android's the largest market share of cell phones in the entire world. India, China, here in the United States. So they are places you don't even know. They are integrated with our government very tightly. They're the largest lobbyists in Washington, and so they are working in our elections. So they are everywhere. We see them maybe in our phone or searching or Google Maps, but they have a much further reach than anybody typically understands.
What do you think Aldous Huxley or George Orwell would think about Google today? Is that making a brave new world and 1984 come to life?
It is, but the thing is in 1984, you could see Big Brother. You knew Big Brother was there because of the signs and kind of the advertisement, same with Brave New World. With Google, you don't actually know that they are doing what they are doing. It is invisible. So when you search for something on the search engine, they are pushing your opinion in one way or another, and you don't know. At least with Big Brother, you knew they were there and you could see them. And we're being pushed by forces that are invisible now. So I would say in some ways it's more terrifying than even those futures envisioned in those books.
Well, let's go back to politically how Google censors us. What did you find out, and is your movie trending at all on Google?
Well, our movie has had some difficulties on Google. It has also had some difficulties on Facebook, another company that we criticize heavily. The thing is that they are pushing your opinion from the very first character you type into that search engine. As you type something, they are making suggestions in the autofill. And the thing is who writes the suggestions. And so if you write, if you start looking for, say, a dog food, you say, what's the best dog food? Well, that search engine has to do two things that are inherently biased. First thing is it has to make a selection over billions of web pages, bias number one. And bias number two, it has to put them in an order, right? A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. It's always going to do those two things. So what if I ask it, what's the best candidate? It's going to have to make a selection, and it's going to have to put them in an order. And so the question is, how does it get to that order, and is it really giving us the best results? And we think probably not. It's probably giving us the results that Google wants us to see. And the question is, what drives that? And from internal leaks and documents, they have a worldview that is very particular, and they want to, put that worldview into our everyday lives, and they are doing that.
How dependent do you think Google is on AI, and do you think it'll only be a matter of time before artificial intelligence dictates to us as opposed to their human programmers?
Well, we know that Google plays very deep in AI. We obviously know that a number of companies are playing with machine learning. Your cell phones are learning, what you do, or mobile phones or digital. They every day, when I use Siri or something along those lines, it is learning what I like, and it is learning to find that information and make suggestions. It's using geotagging to say, hey, you're close to the store, go pick up some milk. But we also know that there's a number of programs within Google that are playing with AI. One helped a computer learn chess, 1,500 years of human knowledge in 4 hours, and then beat a number of pros. And so we are in kind of uncharted territory. People bring up the Terminator or Skynet or something like that. That is not particularly that far off. And in some instances, it's great because a lot of AI really helps, the mechanization and the the auto machines of manufacturing and finding information. But of course, the other problem is who's building them, and are they encoding a certain worldview into these AI and machines? And so we don't know.
KIDO Talk Radio, we continue on talking about, the impact Google has on us. What can people do? Is there any way to get around Google?
Well, currently there's, and one of the important things to understand is we opted into this relationship, right? We signed on. We took the free email. We took all of the free services. And so right now, in order to untangle ourselves, it's very, very difficult. Google controls 90% of search in the world. They did the work to index the Internet. They did a very good job, and so for something like Google Search, it's nearly impossible. Going to websites that have Google Analytics on them, that's nearly impossible. But you can do small things. Don't use Gmail. Don't use Android. Don't use Google Maps. And look, I know that's a difficult thing to ask because Apple Maps is not nearly as sophisticated. But the thing is we are the gasoline for their engine. So the more we use their products, the more information they have, and the more they have the ability to manipulate us and push our opinions in different directions. So we are at the very, very early stages of really trying to figure out what the solutions are. And right now, there are not many.
Which is more demanding or more domineering in our lives? Is it Facebook or Google?
I would say that Google is probably the more threatening entity, partially because I can not sign on to Facebook. I cannot engage with Facebook. In foreign countries, it's a little different because Facebook, in some instances, is the Internet. But in this country, if you don't sign on to Facebook, if you don't engage with Facebook, if you don't have anything to do with Facebook, it's a much easier company to avoid. Google, I would say, is nearly impossible to avoid. You can never use a Google product, and you're still using a Google product in some way or another, whether it's Apple Mail sitting on a Google server or the analytics on a website that's tracking you while you're present there. So I would say Google has managed to escape most of the criticism because Facebook has taken most of the heat in the press. But that is quickly coming to an end, especially with Project Dragonfly in China. It's starting to attract some attention that Google, there and a number of company leaks that their, motives may be more nefarious than they, put out there.
Matt Taylor joining us, The Creepy Line. Let's talk a little bit about this movie. Why should people see it on Amazon or on iTunes?
Well, the thing is that, in this country particularly, the EU is a little different. They've taken a number of steps to kind of start this conversation earlier. We have been using these products without questioning, the motives of the people providing them. We are in a state now where these 21st century kind of Silicon Valley titans are dictating what we do every day. And what the movie does is it starts the conversation and makes people aware of the kinds of things they are doing. We all know that to an extent we're being watched or they're collecting our data. And we have, for some reason, thought that's okay. What the film does is it shows the extent. It shows kind of the threat and what it actually means. And so it's important for people to see this movie so that when they they take pictures of their newborn children, they don't just post them on Google or on Facebook, because those photos are owned by those companies. They are tracking your children from birth, and they're selling that information to universities and car insurance companies, and some instances government and law enforcement. And frankly, we think that is, it's unethical. But the thing is, people don't know. And it's important for them to be informed, and that's why we set out to make this film.
What has Google learned about you, do you think? You think they were happy with you creeping around on their creep list?
Of course not. The thing is that Google, they don't remember. You tell Google things that you wouldn't tell your spouse or your best friend. They know more about you than you know about you, because we just do all these searches all day. If hey, what's the capital of Kansas? Or, how many feet are in a mile? These questions that we ask Google constantly, they are saving everything. They are saving it, they're analyzing it, and they're building a profile of you. So I'm sure Google knows everything. I'm sure there's some questions Google can answer about me that I have about myself. So the thing is that they know. But, they always say the same statement, we don't tamper with this, or we don't have this worldview. I would say that their behavior being caught. Remember, Google is always caught doing bad things. They never come out and say, hey, we made a mistake, we're sorry, here's an update. They're always caught. They're never not caught. So if they're caught breaking rules and being unethical, for everything we catch them for, there's a whole bunch of other things we didn't catch. So I would say that why would we give this company so much trust with our life when they haven't earned it, and they show that they don't really value our trust?
Hey, Matt, does switching to DuckDuckGo help at all?
You can switch to DuckDuckGo, but again, it's one of those things where it's an index. It's not nearly as good. It's difficult. Would you want to put your business on DuckDuckGo search, or would you want to put it on Google search? Because, everybody uses Google. So you can switch there, but again, you're still going to websites with the tracking cookies on them. And so it's better. But again, Google still has built a better product. And again, if your business is based on anything on information or finding people or doing all those things, eventually you'll probably go back to Google, because they just have scaled it to such a size that works and everybody uses it. So it's very, very difficult for competitors to build products. It's easier if you're an email competitor or something along those lines. But when it comes to straight search, Google has probably even Yahoo. If you use Yahoo still calls up Google's quarantine list. So you're still really kind of using Google. And from my understanding, the same with Bing as well.
Finally, Matt, here on KIDO Talk Radio, are they all lefties at Google and Silicon Valley?
I would say that, I try to never put any kind of label on people. But, the thing is that there is a way that they donate. Eric Schmidt was at Hillary Clinton's election night party at the Javits Center in New York City in 2016. They have come out and said that they have certain values, videos and leaked documents about censoring speech and being the arbiter of speech. So there is a certain lean, and we all know that there's a certain lean in Silicon Valley. So they can say all they want that, it's there's no bias and there's no this and there's no that. It is encoded into the algorithm. And there's a number of things that they have done just on paper that show that they lean a certain way politically. And it goes back to, what I like to always say. If you had the power to follow through on your worldview, would you? And the thing is, they do have the power, and we believe that they are following through on their worldview, and it probably is leaning in a leftward direction.
Matt Taylor, once again, if people want to check out your movie, please tell us the name and where they can get it.
The movie is The Creepy Line. It is available on iTunes and Amazon Prime. And you can also go to our website, www.thecreepyline.com, to check out for more information, additional content. It's a scary movie. A lot of people watch it, and they are terrified when they're done. So it works.
The creepy line. Yeah, The Creepy Line.
Absolutely.
Matt, we appreciate you. We'd love to have you back. And please keep us in mind when you're looking at other projects you'd like to promote.
Absolutely. It's a huge pleasure to be here, and I hope everyone watches the movie and, makes some decisions to protect themselves from these companies.
Exactly. Thank you, Matt. Take care.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Well, we continue on, and it's kind of tough here. We've got our friend Rance. We've got Tea Party Bob, Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, Chandler. Thankfully, we have Conservative Steve to save us from the dysfunction that's about to happen. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
We
Hello?
wish you were here. Yes.
Hey, Kevin, are you there?
I am
Hello?
here, sir. Can you hear me? I can hear
I
you.
can hear you. Earth to Kevin. Hey, look, we were just out of town last week, and we met some folks in Utah, and they were from Colorado, and they had an interesting, disturbing report from the marijuana epidemic in Colorado. If you want to hear it.
Well, anytime I can have any disturbing news about marijuana, I'm all
Well,
ears.
what happened is, like the gal said, what they're finding out is the weed now is 35% more potent than it was in the 70s and 80s because of all the propagation and the genetic modification and everything. So obviously the potency is like 35%, 10 times more than it used to be. And what's happening there is the homeless population has tripled already. They're finding out the parks are full of people. They don't want to work. They're slobbery stoned most of the time, and it's actually a disaster. And they live there. They said their neighborhoods and the parks and stuff are just turned into people laying all over the parks with the big toys for the kids and stuff, like in your subdivisions. She was telling us, my wife and I, it's a mess. It is a mess. And they don't know what to do about it. And it all started under the premises, just some recreational weed, So there you have it, man. That's a report straight from the horse's mouth, people that live there, and what it's doing to their neighborhoods and their area. So
I hear it's taking over parks, and the parks are all stinking and stuff, and they all need to be flea-dipped and given haircuts.
Well, the problem is, they stay stoned all the time. They don't want to do anything else. So they lose their jobs. They quit their jobs. They try to get on assistance, and they hang around the pot shops, man, waiting there in the morning when the doors open to try to get a little bag of weed, man, to start all over again day after day. So you're exactly right, my friend. Keep up the good fight.
Thank you, Conservative Steve. Take care.
God bless.
God bless you. Traffic and weather together on
What's every Gabbard?
And I'm Kevin Miller from Ed's 50s Cafe in Meridian. If you missed our interviews with the PBR rider, Cody Evans, he's an incredible champion. You can check that out on our website, the podcast, thanks to Ray Amaya, KIDOTalkRadio.com. Coming up next, your phone call. Plus, it's Terry versus Tea Party Bob versus Art from Star, and you with me only from Ed's 50s Cafe on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning from Ed's 50s Cafe. It's funny. every time we're out on location, everybody yaps, and then all of a sudden there's this thing called a radio show. But we will hear from our esteemed panel of experts coming up. Also, our friends at Fox News Radio. Let's go to Max in Garden City. Max, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning. You know, I'm more worried about this invading column from the south. And that's what they are. They're a column of illegal invaders. I know that Trump has threatened to use the military if Mexico doesn't respond. I believe that we need to show a stronger hand. We need to show economic boycott of Honduras, Mexico, any countries involved. We need to fight them economically, and if we cannot succeed, then we need to fight them militarily. We have the force. We have the power. We should not be pushed around by every illegal invader in the world. But good Lord, you could walk over the border with a business. Am I wrong?
Right.
So,
Max?
while we're nattering about marijuana and about Canada, which isn't even really a country anymore, we've got these invaders, slowly but surely, a column of them making their way to our country to drain us economically, to drain us physically, to bring in whatever MS-13s or Al-Qaeda types they have. And we're welcoming them with open arms. But yet we'll be just like Norway. Let's keep it up.
Well, that's what happens when you have the media, though, that, takes a side on this.
Well, and that's the key. If Americans are so stupid, if they are such a soundbite generation that they don't read or listen beyond the first two sentences, then we are doomed. But if they're thinkers, we can go to the polls in such numbers as to demand what we want. This is not communist China. The government serves us. We do not serve the government. And until we get militant and stand up, including civil disobedience, until we do that, we're just going to keep sliding down the hill.
What do you mean when you say militant?
Militant. I'm talking about, for example, boycotting businesses in Meridian because of their gender equality rule. Boycotting any sectors, any corporations that support people we don't like, we boycott. Militant. How about organized demonstrations? A little civil disobedience can be a good thing. It got us out of Vietnam.
Do you believe there's enough passionate for that to support that?
Well, remember, the United States, before we were America, when we were still a British colony, fewer than 3% of the people drove the largest, most powerful army and navy from our shores. Well, we've done it once, we can surely do it again.
That was before the millennials.
Well, there are some good millennials out there. I've met some good kids. They've got their heads on their shoulders.
Yeah.
They're ashamed to be part of the generation. They're more
Max,
than-
thank you for the call, and we appreciate you listening to KIDO Talk Radio.
Thank you, sir.
All right, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We're joined by the publisher of the Gem State Patriot, gemstatepatriot.com. In studio here, he's actually physically manhandling the equipment. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
You're a little reserved. We've been talking about your favorite topic, promoting pot this morning.
Yeah, well, I'm not here to promote pot. You know what I'm all about. I'm all about medicinal marijuana, which they don't seem to think is going to help anybody here in Idaho, but they already know that it does. They just don't want to understand that it does. I'm not for having pot and recreational marijuana. Never have been. I had a godson who got addicted to it and wound up passing away at 44 years old. So I understand the ramifications of things like that.
How do we balance it then? Because we have heard people talk about the benefits of medical marijuana, and yet then you have other people using it as a gateway because they doctor shop, and all of a sudden everybody's toking weeds on Fairview Avenue.
I think it's a matter of people distinguishing, especially when you start looking at the value of medicinal marijuana. The recreational stuff is going to create problems. We've seen them happen in Colorado. We've seen them happen in other states. Look, I'm pretty much a libertarian. I say if you know what you put into your body should be your own decision, but I'm not for it myself personally. I just think it's dangerous, and it can be addictive to a lot of people.
Every state, though, that has medical marijuana, sooner or later it's recreational marijuana.
That's true. I'm not so sure what will happen here in the future. My guess is that they are going to permit medicinal marijuana at some point in time. I know the pressure is getting pretty strong in the legislature.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Terry, what do you think?
Well, you ask him what he thinks.
Well, because you know Terry likes to provoke you all the time.
Well, we're going to unplug you, Mr. Artificial Intelligence.
You don't know where the plug is, my friend.
But anyways, you know, when you look at the pot, the alcohol issue, you go back to Johnny Cash, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. Well, you know, we're going to have another set of circumstances we're not even aware of yet with the pot smokers. Hey, dude, I haven't worked for 3 months. Well, go get in your car and get a job. I forget where I parked it. Come on,
you know,
we don't need that in our
You're
culture.
very typical of the average person.
Oh, please, New Yorker.
You know?
Come on, unplug it.
You're very
Unplug
typical.
it.
Now, wait a minute. Why do you say New Yorker?
He's a New Yorker.
Because he has no common
He
sense.
lives in Idaho.
Ha! Once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker.
Go back to your hole in the ground, please.
Now, can we keep this debate civil here?
I can. I don't know if he can, but we'll try.
Now, back to you're saying you agree with me.
Absolutely.
Zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance.
So you just don't care
You
about
know,
the 1,500 kids
and
who
when
have
they-
epilepsy,
and when they
right?
start
Are you going to
growing-
stop
when they
talking,
start
or
growing
are you
hemp,
going
what
to
happens,
continue?
They mix pot in
Let
with
me see if I can
crop.
overtalk him and see if I can unplug him.
I don't know if that's entertaining or not. If there's a tune-out factor, I wish I had my bell. So you're saying what? And then we're going to let Tea Party Bob respond.
First off, you can't legislate morality, and that's going to be the issue right here. However, there is a medicinal use here. God created it. He
You
told us in
heard
his own
Eric.
word.
It cures cancer.
Well, you know,
Yes,
there's over 100 types of cancer. It has helped to alleviate some cancer cells. So let's keep that clear. It doesn't cure cancer.
Okay. Are you done, or you're
Oh,
filibustering?
we could go on for half an
Let-
hour. With
let-
my
let's-
schooling and Bob's know-it-all, we've got it all cured.
Well, let's hope so.
I'm not sure. Which school did you go to? The School of Hard Knocks or Dumb Knocks?
Oh, boy, here we go.
Now,
That
let's
wasn't even a good
refrain
shot.
from personally attacking one another. Sir, you have the floor.
Look, the logic says that if you use medicinal marijuana, you're going to find benefits to a lot of people. You got 1,500 children here in Idaho with epilepsy. They want to give them this new drug that they say is going to be helpful. The problem is it's going to have side effects. We all know that synthesized pharmaceuticals have side effects. If you can control it and you have it on a prescription basis, and you know, it's not an easy thing to control. I'm not saying it is, Kevin, but by the same token, I don't want to go with my right-hand guy over here that hasn't figured out that this is a very important deal here in Idaho. And when he says it doesn't cure cancer, how does he know? I didn't know he was a doctor. We don't know that.
There's
and you're not
confirmed
going
research out there, Bob.
You haven't read enough to know what confirmed research
You got to
is.
stop reading the Marvel comic books and get down to the real medical research.
Well, thank you, Spider-Man, for that one.
Come on,
Hang
I've
for
got
another
4 years of
building.
toxicology before you even put the bottle down.
Gentlemen, I'm going to take a time out here for a minute. Let's go to Harold on KIDO Talk Radio. Wants to talk a little PBR. Good morning, Harold.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I feel like I'm riding a couple bulls right now, but go ahead.
Yeah, I heard that. Hey, listen, a couple things. That was Cody Nance, not Cody Evans, the PBR.
For some
but
reason,
anyway,
I keep wanting. For some reason, I keep wanting to call him Cody Evans, but you're right. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's all right, Kevin. You do a good job. Listen, my son, he's a professional bull rider. Been riding since he was 6 years old, and it's in them, Kevin. It's in their heart. It's in their minds. It's in their souls to be bull riders. And I think being a bull rider and these guys that do it for a living, they're the toughest mentally, physically. And let me tell you something. They're all American. And they stand for the flag. They stand for the prayer. They bow their heads. They take their hats off. And they're Americans. That's what America's about. Anyway, you guys have a great day. I wish I could have won tickets, but maybe I'll get in there on Sunday.
Harold, we appreciate you keeping me accountable. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. I listen to your show every day. You guys have a good time. And tell Steve, Liberal Steve, to keep calling. I love to listen to his dumb antics. If he's listening.
Thank you, Harold.
Have a good
All right,
day.
take care, sir. All right. More coming up next from Ed's 50s Cafe. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning, and this is almost like a mini Miller's Mission. Here at Ed's 50s Cafe, we have Art from Star joining us now, who has just called out Tea Party Bob. And Art, we don't like personal insults on this show.
We won't do any personal insults, but before we get to this issue of the actual impact of marijuana on the human brain, I'd like to say something as a side box. I'm down here at
a side box or a side bar?
Side box.
Well, you got to look at talking to the mic. It doesn't do you any good to talk to me.
I'm at Ed's 50 Cafe. I just had breakfast. Ham and eggs, bacon, toast, and coffee.
You know, this is very compelling, hearing about your breakfast selection, sir.
But it's really good coffee, and you really got to come down here and check the place out, okay?
Thank you, Art.
Okay. Now, getting back to what marijuana does. There are photomicrographs. They now know how it reduces the IQ of the human brain. And here's what happens. At the end of every neuron, there's a series of fine microfibers. They're called dendrites. And these dendrites go to every other neuron. They're like the phone patch connections. At the juncture of one neuron to the next, it's called the synaptic cleft.
Okay,
cleft.
First of all, you're talking over my head.
Well, I'm going to try to explain it.
Just keep it simple.
Okay. The synaptic cleft is how one end of a neuron communicates to the input of the other neuron. And it's a small gap. In that gap is where the neurotransmitters flow back and forth.
Okay, just tell me what happens.
Well, what happens is marijuana causes the nerves to generate another synaptic cleft and capture all the brain transmitters, and your IQ is reduced permanently.
You know, the sound I'm hearing is the radio dial's turning. So let's go to Tea Party Bob for entertainment purposes. Tea Party Bob, do you know the neurons and the kleptofunnels or anything else?
I'm not a neurologist, so I wouldn't know anything about neurons. And I'm not a medical doctor, so
right.
Let's just kind of keep this nice and easy.
Okay.
Let me go back to the fact.
Now you've got two against you right now.
Oh, that's okay.
It's an ambush.
It depends on who the two are.
Okay.
But when you get right down to it, if you can help some people with this medicinal marijuana, we should be doing it.
Okay.
So anyone who says we shouldn't should probably be kind of put in a side box and left there.
A side box, not a side bar.
Yes, a side box. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to use Art's terms.
Fair enough. Terry, any final thoughts on this?
No.
By the way, you're welcome to call in and join the fun at 580-5436, 580-KIDO on the future of pot in the gem state.
You know, I think Art was hitting on it real well there. I'm not going to get into the scientific term, but it does create an alternate reality, which is what pharmaceuticals, in fact, have been designed for. Okay, so
is that like a high on eating carbs? A carb
well, absolutely it is, because we weren't designed for that many carbs if you're overdoing it on carbs. So we can say the same thing.
Like a sugar high.
We get the buzz. Read Sugar Blues. That was written 25, 30 years ago. That will blow you away. Hits us, turns alcohol, we're drunk. Oh, there's nothing wrong with processed white sugar. It's only 1,000 times stronger.
You're trying too hard here.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, white sugar. Killer. Anything white. If it's white, it ain't right. White flour.
Well, no, we've been hearing about that from other folks. I don't agree with that. Okay. All right. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Is there anything that you would like to mention before we move on here?
No, but I like your guy that was talking about Google. I just tried to Google a book that just came out called Life Without Google. They don't show it.
Cool.
Nobody's going to see it if they go out there and search for it for some reason. I don't know why that is.
580-5436, 580-KIDO.
The focus has been on listening, learning, understanding what the players want to accomplish in their community and the impact they want to have, and supporting them. And our clubs have done that at historic levels. And we went over that over the last couple of days. And I'm proud of what our clubs are doing. I'm proud of what our players are doing. We're all working together to try to address those issues. And from my standpoint, that always helps make relationships more productive when there's respect and dialogue and understanding and an agreement to work together to try to make things better.
There we go. That's like Art with his erudite rendition of what was that, the cyclofunnels? What was that? Symnactic cleft. That was the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, talking about the national anthem and that they've been listening. Well, I don't know. I don't know if this works for you, but you ever go to your boss and say, hey, let me just, boss, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And I know that I found out with my boss that he's the boss and I'm the employee, or the technical term in broadcasting as we call it, monkey. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, getting back to watching the NFL and the national anthem, to me, it's disrespectful when people say, oh, we just want to get that controversy out of the way. Traffic and weather together, let's get you to work.
It's Eric Gabbard.
We continue on here talking about the national anthem with our Power Panel Roundtable. And we'd love to hear from you before Glenn Beck at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We appreciate our friends at Ed's 50s Cafe and urge you to go check out the PBR this weekend. Going to be a great time, and certainly when we're talking about promoting Western values and the Western way of life, it's just amazing. And by the way, I do want to thank Cody Nance, not to be confused with Cody Evans, and thank you, Harold, for correcting me on that, for joining us this morning. If you missed that interview, you can go to KIDOTalkRadio.com. So it comes down to this: how much do you love America? How much does the national anthem mean to you? Some people say, well, maybe we shouldn't have the national anthem at all in sports. We should just get it on, if you will, right? And here you have the NFL commissioner. I like I said, it's everyone's dream, every little boy and perhaps every little girl's dream now to play in the NFL. But where else, what other industry can you sit there and tell your boss, I'm going to make a political statement? Tea Party Bob, now that you're done having a wonderful in-depth conversation with Terry, your thoughts on the national anthem?
I think it's a shame that we went through all this rigmarole with the NFL. It never should have been done in the first place. And it's unfortunate that it's come to the point where we still have some of these clowns out there playing the game. I'd like to see them get back to some real Americanism, being people that care about the country. You know, the country gave them a great life. They have an opportunity to make all the money they could possibly make, and for just entertaining people. The problem is with
why doesn't Goodell? Why doesn't Goodell do the right thing and say, look, you work for me, do it?
Because the people paying him give him $40 million a year, and they basically don't want him to do it. That's what I'd say.
Well, when you were running your fence company, did your workers say that to you?
They were all probies. They said a lot of things to me.
Right. But, I mean, did they determine when they were going to work? I mean, you would bust them when they were goofing off having ice cream socials.
Yeah, and smoking grass. Yes, I did. No question about it.
Terry, your thoughts?
I gave you the solution earlier. Take all the undeserved welfare money, all the immigrant money, illegal immigrant money that we're putting into it, and take all those people who don't love the country and relocate them into a different country. Problem solved. Take dollar for dollar. It would work. If you don't love America, get out.
There we have it. Love it or leave it. And we'll end with Art and back to your thoughts. Okay, Art, thank you very much. It's been that kind of day. You never know what's going to happen here at Ed's 50s Cafe. I do want to thank Ed and Cindy and Charity, the members of the PBR, Ray Amaya, Chandler, the Power Packed Roundtable, Rance Pugmire, who makes it happen for us. God bless everybody. Keep the faith. Glenn Beck's next. Stay tuned. KIDO Talk Radio. And Ray Amaya. Thank you, Ray.